Okay, you guys, you saw the title, Lifetime Wisdom from a 7-year-old. Now, keep in mind, I'm a boomer. So during that time, which was in a galaxy far, far away on planet Earth, children were, well, there was a saying that children should be seen and not heard. So that's the era that I grew up in. And of course, things have drastically changed since that time. Now, kids rule the world, but that's a topic I'm not going to get on today. In this particular case, it was a time when I actually received, dare I say it, lifetime wisdom from a 7-year-old. Um, this is after my upbringing and everything. So, kids did have more, I don't want to say the word rights, but, we all have rights. And they sometimes had opinions that would be different than, their parents or their grandparents, which is obvious because they're living in a different time zone, a different era where people have progressed, or so we would like to think. Well, for this particular lesson, and you have to realize, well, you don't have to realize it, but there are lots of people that don't mind getting words of wisdom or advice from people that you expect to get it from, like teachers, judges, anyone that had a authoritarian type position, parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, you get the drill. Well, and I always considered myself, you know, I've, well, let me say this. I've always learned lessons throughout my entire life, and I can go back to as far as 5 years old. So I was always like looking at the adults around me, seeing some of the what I thought were errors at the time that they were making in their lives. And you're going to hear more about that when it comes to my relationship with my parents. But again, here I am digressing as usual. On this particular occasion, I had already been divorced and I had my girls with me, so they were really young. And I would go back to Detroit to visit with their grandparents, so that way the girls can visit their granddad and their grandmom and aunts and uncles and great aunts and things like that. So I always wanted them to know, their like family history or their family relatives and things like that. And on one of these particular visits, unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately, since I learned a valuable lesson here, but I was visiting my mom, and you guys know how I'm, normally pretty outspoken and pretty not mean, but just the facts, ma'am. Just give me the facts of the story. I don't want to know how you feel or how he felt or how everyone was uncomfortable in the room. Those are things they need to deal with. Okay. I'm like, just give me the facts and then I can make up my own mind. Well, on this particular time, I'd taken my girls to visit with my mother, which of course is the grandmother. And my mother, and you'll know about some of this later on in some videos as I cover my childhood, but this channel is Life Lessons Learned, and I will be talking about lessons throughout my life, which is really throughout our lives because many of us experience the same things as we're on the same planet. But my mother was, oh geez, my mother was, well, she was, well, let me say this. It was easy for me to get along with people because I didn't take a lot of things personally. I was like, that's their issue, that's their perception. I'm sorry they feel that way, whatever. But I didn't like go home and then berate myself or beat myself up about something someone said or something someone thought or something someone did. It's like they're living their lives, I'm living mine. Well, on this particular time that I was visiting with my mom with my girls, my mother was not, shall we say, in the best of moods. And she had a tendency to, you know, curse and s- get loud and, tell people off, that kind of thing. Well, so during the time we were there, she wanted to talk about the girl's dad, which I had been divorced from by this point. You know how when things don't work out, your parents are saying, she was this or he was that or he wasn't good enough for you, things like that. It's normal. I mean, well, maybe it's not normal for lots of people, but I get it. But for me, I always take a stance that I would not allow people to do that while I have my girls with me, have people negate their dad and that kind of thing. So, of course, I told my mom that that was not acceptable. And my family knows me. They know when I say something's not acceptable, that means it's not acceptable, which means if it continues, you won't, I'm gone. I'll come back and visit some other time. So anyway, she got mad and started hollering and cursing and everything. And I had my girls with me, so I'm like, okay, we have to, you know, respect your parents. And so I didn't, well, let's just say after the visit was over, we were leaving and my girls were all sitting in the back seat of the car and they were strapped in and that kind of thing. And I was driving back home. And we lived about 45 minutes to an hour away. So it was going to be, quite a ride back home. At one point during the ride, one of my daughters, who was 7 at the time, so keep that in mind because we don't like 70-year-olds or 2-year-olds telling us anything. But she said to me, and this is, all of my girls, I mean, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a egotistical parent, but they all adored me and they all wanted to protect me and they didn't like when people, hollered at me or screamed at me. And most kids are like that when it comes to their parents. They're like, don't do that to my mom. But they didn't say anything when we were with my grandma when they were with their grandmother's house. Because again, their grandmother was kind of a foreboding figure, so a lot of, things just didn't get said around her. So anyway, my 7-year-old said very I'll say, just asking a question. She was really curious. And she said, Mom, why does your mom talk to you like that? And we had just left and I was upset too at this point and I didn't want to hear anything from the peanut gallery. So I was like, what do you mean? Why does she talk to me like that? She's my mother. She can talk to me any way she wants. That has nothing to do with you. And my daughter was silent for probably 4 seconds, okay? And then she said, very solemnly and very firmly, well, all I have to say is when I get older and I come to visit you and you talk to me like that, I just won't visit you anymore. Guys. Ah, I'm like, no, this I didn't. What do you say to that? Anybody can talk to me any way they want because they're my parent. Anyone can disrespect me because they raised me. Anyone can abuse me, anyone but no one but them. So I'm like, damn it, what the hell? So I kind of took a deep breath and I didn't say anything to her or I didn't say anything at all for a few moments because I started thinking, I'm like, she's 7 and she already knows what's acceptable for her in her life as far as how people would respect her no matter who that person is. And of course, it was like cold water, a big slap in the face. Not the kind that Will Smith gave Chris Rock, but you know what I mean. It kind of threw you for a loop, okay? And so I was like, wow, she's right. If someone who you've let know some things are not acceptable to you and they continue to act in that way, and you continue to go see them, then what you're really saying is it really is acceptable. I'm mad about it and I'm upset about it and I'm going to keep telling you about it, but I'm going to keep coming and dealing with this. Now, it takes time to let some words of wisdom go through your mind, go through your soul, your spirit, your heart. And I was like, there is no response to that. What would I have said? Oh, I don't mind being verbally abused because, it's just my mom. So, you guys, I made up my mind that yes, she was right. And of course, I would I wouldn't even think of talking to my daughters like that when they're coming to visit me with their kids, but um Yeah, that was one hard pill to swallow. But I mean, like I said, what can you say about it? You you're just frozen and the truth of the knowledge of the wisdom this person just dropped down on you. So I did use that as a turning point in my life, not just with my mom, but with my mom and my dad, because they were divorced, and so I would go visit my dad sometimes, and sometimes I would go visit my mom. And sometimes I would run out of time and I wouldn't have like time to visit both. I'm going to see aunts and uncles and my great aunts and uncles and all of that too. And, it takes time to visit with people. And sometimes if I missed, going or skipped going over to my dad's for one of the visits, then my mom would call him and say, Sherry and the girls were here and they didn't visit you and they visited me. I mean, it was always this major drama, chaos that was created between certain family members. And I was the one that was always like the peacemaker from the in the family, even in my youth. So I was the one that, people would come to and say, well, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? Or what would Sherry do? So they, I was kind of like the King Solomon of the family. I'm like, okay, let's hear both sides, just the facts. I don't want to know what you thought or what you think you heard or how you felt about what was said. Let's just get to the crux of the matter and then move forward from there. So I did not, well, I continued to visit, with my girls, with my mom and everything. But I called her after we gotten home and I had time to, let these words germinate. And I told her, not what my daughter said, because don't want to start anything with grandma and granddaughter, but especially a 7-year old. Okay, come on. But from then on, I never had, I talked with her about what was acceptable, what wasn't acceptable. And if things continued, then of course I wouldn't visit. Because you can always call and can send cards and things like that. You can always have a relationship without physically, putting yourself in a situation where things like that are going on. So I learned that lesson from my 7-year-old daughter. And I do have to tell you guys, she is now 40, and that wisdom has only gotten better each year. I mean, it's amazing what this young woman, the gems of wisdom that she drops all the time. And she's a true person of her word. She has, character that she does live by. She's not a hypocrite. How she feels is how she feels, and she's not mean about how she conveys her perceptions or her feelings or anything like that. But I'm like, dang it. Can you imagine if lots of people at 7, 8, 9 years old, of course they can't, say to their parents, that's not acceptable, but they can begin to embody what's acceptable to them and know what they would do moving forward as they get older and the ways that they want to present themselves to others. So that was a major time in my life. Because who wants to say, my 7-year-old daughter told me this? But, it's all good. So this one was kind of a short one, but pearls of wisdom, they don't have to be long, drawn out stories. Sometimes they're just a aha moment that comes to you. The name of this channel is Life Lessons Learned. We'll be talking about lessons throughout all areas of our lives, from work to family dynamics to community, um, interaction, and through relationships and friendships and things of that nature. And it's so much to share and so many morals at the end of some of these stories that people be like, yeah, I can get that. But my goal is to assist others to begin to realize their goals in life, um, ways that they would like to present themselves so that other people are presenting themselves in their um, ways that they would like to be seen or be presented. So this is Sherry. Please like, subscribe, share, and let me know down below some of your comments as to maybe there was a time in your life when one of your children dropped some gems of wisdom on you that you never thought about or that gave you a opportunity to see a different perception or a different side of things and things that you may have been able to adapt in your life or adopt in your life and move forward in a better way. Okay, I will see you guys on the next run.